How you doing, guys?
Doing great. Thanks so much. And if guys don't know, all the graphics that you see were done by Iru. He always does a fantastic job at something that, and we're all very jealous now. Austin wants you on his payroll, he said. So he wants to hire you.
That was okay. Thanks. That was my gift for be part of this great movement, and I really enjoy making graphics. And it's better if I do with love, not just like a regular client. So for me, it was a really pleasure to participate, not also giving a presentation, but with the motion graphics and all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. All right, you can go whenever you want. And then your website for people, if they want to find you, where can they find you best?
Yes, NPT for all in YouTube. You can find me there. Rockfin, the same name, NPT for all. And Nur para todos, which is stand for Nur for all, .com.er. It's my webpage. You can translate it using the Google translation. But the majority of my information is in YouTube, so you can find me there.
And he's on Globebusters every Sunday, so check that out.
And Globebuster, of course. And, you know, time to time in the Jeranism channel, but I don't know what happened to Jeran. He didn't invite me anymore.
No, so. I got too many complaints. No, I'm just kidding. I was telling somebody yesterday that you complain about how you don't speak good English. I'm like, I don't speak good English. This guy's speaking 2 languages, probably 3, probably no more than that even.
Yeah, we can try again. Okay, so I have the time right now to start presenting.
Absolutely. Are you going to be sharing your screen? Yes.
Yeah, I am still. I am sharing the screen.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm just going to fix it so it doesn't show your slides there.
Okay.
You are open. Good now. Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here, for inviting me. It's like I said before, it's a pleasure. The presentation that I'm going to give is based on visual effects, because I am a visual effect artist, and I already see other presentation like the last before with David, addressing the typical 101 flat earth topics and questions. So I'm going to try to focus my presentation in how to take away the image, that religious image of the spherical earth, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you absorb in terms of information based on physics, based on real science, but sometimes you need to fight with yourself and the enemy. You are sleeping with the enemy because you have been programmed from your childhood with one image among the other ones, of course, but in this case, it's the sphere. So be patient, because English is not my native language. I'm gonna try to speak best I can, and there's gonna be some slices with the Spanish words. Don't worry, I'm gonna translate it. But here we start. So the idea is exposing the puppet master. In this case, is NASA, because for me, it's one of the biggest Hollywood companies out there. To brainwash people in so many sense, but in this case, we're going to address the space. In terms of my ride, I list my own experience to become a flat earther. Here is a short list of topics that you can search and study, that it's going to, trying to understand about the movement of the earth, the movement of the earth around the sun around the space, etc., etc. All these mechanisms that the biggest mind in the science world create to trying to detect that motion. And of course, everyone not fail, but give the conclusion that the earth is at rest. But for me, one of the most easy to do is long-range observations. And remember, this is going to be just a short reminder. For me, Che Tolan, the engineering, that guy really rocks in terms of long-range observation, because when he took the flight and make observations from 10 kilometers height, which in the official measurements at 10 kilometers, the horizon stop at 360 approximately kilometers. When he went to a flight and trying to match that prediction, you can search it in YouTube. Shea Tolan Media One is his channel. He can make observations like, for example, this one, until like 1,200 kilometers. So that is like almost 4 times the predictions in terms of the spherical globe. Here you have all the data, all the calculations, the distance, where the plane was at the moment that he snapshot and take that video. Every little detail it's available in his YouTube channel. Of course, I make just a short video resuming a video of 20 minutes in 2 minutes. But here with this yellow line cut at the first time, this is the horizon in the spherical model. And the guy can observe way beyond that prediction. I just keep forward a little bit, but this is the trajectory of the plane, and this is the final object where the final mountain that he can observe. And of course, beyond the mountain, it's also, let me just come here, beyond the mountain that he recognized, there's still more land, more land. And that's, for me, was very shocking. This is, for me at least, is a direct confirmation of the flat plane that we live, because it's still rise up at the eye level. And not just that, he at least avoid a lot of refraction in terms of Fata Morgana and those optic illusions, optic phenomena that the light has to take when it's passing through a media, different mediums. So make observation from the ocean, make observations here on the ground. It's a little difficult for those phenomena, but when you go up, you can have a much clear view. And in particular, this guy used infrared filter. So on top of that observation, he makes better observation. And that, for me, is what I need. Besides the water never curve, the water is always at level and finds its levels. So that is just a few things that you can at least study if you want to understand a little bit more the model. Of course, when you go to limits, at least in the research that I made, I find that nobody can go up more than 250 kilometers with sounding rockets, not with the biggest rocket, but the sounding rocket that it's used for atmospheric studies. When you're trying to go to the sides, you're going to find the Antarctic perimeter. If you want to try to go to the center, it's the Arctic perimeter. And when you're trying to go down with mechanical things, the ultra deep Kola hole is at least is our limit, 12 kilometers. And the rest is bureaucratic, but more important, the rest of the limits are mental. And that is why I'm gonna try to break one of those limits, which is the image of the spherical world. So we all been born and, with this image as like a representation of where we live. The mainstream in terms of education and media, they present this as an object, something that you can have in your hand and analyze and move and touch. But we never experienced that, of course, not just because the size, but because we never have that perspective in our real life. We live in the flat plane, we experience that, but this is what is presenting in our daily basis, in our daily life, all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's just in a poster or in a TV show or in your room with a globe or whatever. You always have this. So when you take a lot of information and trying to present to another people, and the other person start to understand the flat Earth model, something is going to trigger in his mind this, okay, but what about NASA? And what about the image satellites? When the guy take, he doesn't have any, he haven't any more answers or things to trying to rebuttal. He's going to take the NASA topic and trying to bring the satellite images. So we always say that this is a picture, it's not a photograph, or at least it's a photograph to a picture, painting by hand at this time, and in our days is digital. So why we say that? That is something that I'm trying to explain. First of all, the photorealism in terms of the made by man hand, it has a long story. In the Renaissance, it's where the techniques start getting better and trying to introduce some special techniques to trying to recreate the light conditions in nature and trying to produce photorealism, painting by hand. For example, all these examples are painting by hand, and it's very difficult to, this is in our modern days, and it's very difficult to distinguish from a painting or a picture or a photograph and things like that. But this is it's something that the human, the artist in the human race has practiced like forever, if you want to. But the breaking point came when they start using a projector to paint. And in this movie from Disney, they show the magic lantern invented by a Jesuit called Athanasius Kirchner. And this here is the technique where they take that breaking point into more realism in terms of, I'm talking right now in terms of art history, okay? So what is this about? It's a setup of mirrors and using the light, the natural light, and focus the light and produce an image on the canvas. And then the artist came here and start painting, taking that as a reference. In this movie, they just show this setup, as a hidden Easter egg, if you want to see it in that way. But this type of machines mechanisms exist around 400 years ago. Of course, you need to be a really good and talented artist to still reproduce a good shading in terms of the color and the shapes and all that stuff. But this type of mechanism exists a long time ago. So why I bring this here and trying to explain this type of thing is because the blue marble, it's in fact a painting of using this type of technique, as we're going to see in a moment. So this is a device, it's called the magic lantern, and it was invented by this Jesuit, which is called Athanasius Kirchner. And of course, because he's a Jesuit, when they invented this machine, they start using to torture people in terms of the mind, and they start using images as you see here, like devils and the inferno things, and trying to create the first propaganda, of course, with the church involved on that to control people. The image is not just an art representation to entertain. This is completely to brainwash people. Of course, the church always hide the real knowledge and also pay for the best artists to reproduce the paintings in the walls, in the canvas, or whatever, because they want to produce realism with the story, in this case with the religious story. And then of course they start using for the heliocentric model too. So Athanasius Kirchner, he also created the idea that the Earth was a sphere with a molten core in the middle. Maybe you don't know that. I am not going to address this topic, but this idea of a nucleus in the middle, you know, spreading through the volcanoes, and all this inner core from the spherical Earth came from the same guy who invented the magic lantern. Remember that everybody out there, it doesn't matter if it's the best or the top astrophysicist or astronomer, whatever, he never went to space. He just looked the spherical Earth on television. And television, it's created for manipulate the nervous system of ourselves based on electromagnetic fields. I think a lot of people already know that. Here you can have some numbers of patterns that was produced for induce alternate state in the mind of the person that is looking the television, and of course that's allowed to be programmed in politics, in religion, in science, whatever. The message enter very soft and smooth when you are in front of television and you just start relaxing. In terms of the education, for me, it's very important to understand in the book of the in the books of the elder of science, they talk. There is a really important part here, where they talk about the theories, the scientific theories that they're gonna be teaching in school, and they say for them let's play the principal part which we have persuade them to accept as the dictated of science theories. It is with this object in the view that we are constantly, by means of our press, arousing a blind confidence in those on this theory. So they create theories, they put in the educational system, and they don't follow that theories because they have another view. In fact, they congratulate themselves for creating the Darwinism, the Marxism, and the Nietzscheism in terms of those theories that are put in there to control us in terms of our spirit, our soul, our mind, and our body. That is all about, is trying to disorient our four principles bodies: soul, mind, spirit, and body. Okay, so the heliocentric model is another of these theories that they put there and trying to brainwash for take away our spiritual understanding, because in the bottom line, the heliocentric model enters into your reality to tell you that you are just a speck of dust flying on around without any purpose, any direction, any orientation. You are not longer in control, okay? And the heliocentric model, in the past, when they trying to present to scholars, they use mathematics. When you are in mathematics, we just see numbers as regular people that maybe we don't understand mathematics. But if you are a mathematician, when you see this, your brain projects an image. It's the same thing when, for example, web design, web programmers start to program in JavaScript, for example. For us, it's just a bunch of letters and numbers, but for the programmer, those code, it's an image, is a table, whatever. So the art start getting better and better and better. And now the heliocentric model, they don't use any more numbers and formulas that is belong maybe to a physics world, a physics model. But in terms to brainwash the complete humanity, they use pictures. They process numbers and formulas in a computer, and the computer create images, in this case CGI. In the past, they use people and they trying to find the best artists to paint things in the most realistic way. But everything, it go into the education. That is why we have phrases, quotes like, give me just one generation of young people and I will transform the whole world, Vladimir Lenin. But this phrase, you can go back, trace back in time, and the same things said Aristoteles, and the same thing was based on the Jesuit education. Give me a child at the age of 8 and I'm going to deliver a man at the age of 12. So everything, they know that they need to put the ideas when we don't have antibodies to defend ourselves in terms of the authority that is given us that information. And that is why, for example, in the case of the heliocentric model, maybe people don't stop and start thinking, but the heliocentric model, it was discovered, it was created, it was invented. And the architects of that model are all from the church in the first place. They are all of the Jesuit order and some religious order. For example, in the case of Nicolas Copernicus, who belonged to the Nicolaitas, which was an order, but also supported by Jesuits. And even the modern theory about the Big Bang was created by a Jesuit priest. So this must, at least you need to, use as a red flag. In fact, this is an interview with the astronomer of the Vatican, the guy who it's called Guy Consolmagno. And when they start asking about this, supposedly fight between the church and the science, the guy who have the his control the Lucifer, for example, observatory telescope, he said this about that fight, that relation, but also about the scientific method.
This notion that people have that there's a conflict between faith and science. You don't see that.
Well, of course not. I mean, here I am, I've got a college and an MIT ring, which proves to be at the same time a fanatic and a nerd. And I am. I'm something of a nerd about my religion, but I'm a fanatic about my science.
And that point is very important because he said, I am a nerd of my religion. So a nerd, a guy who studied my religion, but I am a fanatic of the science. And the fanatic is someone who loses his mind to accomplish whatever it paradigma needs. Being fanatic, you can lose your life if you became a fanatic of some religion order or some football team or whatever. So
and what people have to remember is that science came from the church. What people have to remember is that science came from the church.
The science, the Occidental, the West science, it came from the church, and that's true. They control the universities. In fact, he mentioned here.
It was invented in medieval universities. It was invented in medieval universities.
And that is why I show this image. All the education that we receive is bias. Bias of what? To be a heliocentric person, to be a person with different values, different morals, in terms of be a creationist or trying to understand the model behind not just the scientific model, but the moral model behind a created plane of existence instead of just a speck of dust where you can do whatever you want because the means justify the ends, right? And something that's at least to take into consideration is that, for example, Sigmund Freud, which is a guy that I think everybody in the chats know, Sigmund Freud, he presented, you can find it even in Wikipedia, he present 3 wants, I don't know how to pronounce very well, but I think you understand. He present 3 wants of ourselves. The first one the first one for Sigmund Freud in terms of how you can attack the psychology of a person, of a human being, it was the Copernican model, the Copernican doctrine. He talks about a doctrine. And he said the most important thing to, control a human being is telling that the earth is not the center of the universe. This is just, I am quote Sigmund Freud. The second important to keep, putting on the on the needs to a human being is the doctrine of Charles Darwin. And when just a human being is just another animal and you can control it, like Yuval Harari recently talked about that supposedly now we are hackable humans because they have a big data and they can manage a lot of information and hack our brains. But this is all related. The third one was that we are not owners of ourselves because we have this subconscious that control us and we cannot control that mechanism in our head and things like that. And of course, the fourth one, this is not from Sigmund Freud, but is for me, is that the artificial intelligence, because now we are just machines will surpass human beings. Now, the artificial intelligence is another step to take us down in terms of our purpose. Now the machines are more fast, more quickly, more efficient. The machines you don't need to pay, you don't need to maintain in terms of comparison with the human being. So all these doctrines, this is the technocratic doctrine, like psychology doctrines, the evolution doctrine, and the Copernican doctrines are all to trying to break us and control us. This is my opinion, of course. Another very well-known guy is the poet Johann von Goethe. He's one of the biggest poets and philosophers at that time in his time. And he also talks about I am not going to read this in English, but he also talks about the doctrine of Copernica, the Copernican doctrine, as a tool to control the human being. And these guys, they are talking about this before even thinking went to the moon or think in terms of see the curvature of the earth from space. So when you see this picture, it's not just a picture. This is a symbol. This is a code for your soul, your spirit. It's not just a regular picture. And you need to take this out from your head as soon as possible, of course. And in fact, when you start take a look at this, you're gonna start find features that indicate that this is not an actual picture, an actual photograph, sorry. And in fact, for example, I remember Obama talking about this image, and they recognize they don't have a real picture of the Earth since 1972, supposedly.
Last month, for the first time since 1972, NASA released a blue mark, a single snapshot of the Earth taken from outer space. So much has changed in the decades between that first picture and the second. Borders have shifted, generations have come and gone. The global population has nearly doubled.
This is how you can attribute a story just in a simple image. Now the population is double, the weather, the climate change, everything. It's
But one thing hasn't changed. Our planet is as beautiful as ever. It still looks blue. And it's vast, but also as fragile as.
So because it's fragile, we need to protect them. And in that sense, if we need to take out more than half the population, well, it's so fragile that you are not indispensable. So these images, like I mentioned before, the idea is show you just official NASA narrative, because the supposedly new marvel you expect that maybe, well, it's another picture, it's another photograph, right? When, some human go up there and take a single snapshot from the Earth from, in its complete shape. But of course it's not. Here we have Roman Simon from NASA.
The shot is compiled from data from NASA's VIRS instrument, which orbits the Earth about every 100 minutes, taking measurements of the planet. That can be translated into ribbons of imagery like this.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap.
So,
and then people are having a hard time hearing your video, I think. So if you can get it up
Okay.
any higher, that'd be great.
Okay, but the audio of my video are.
No, play it again. It's a little quiet.
I could you put the audio of the video?
As no audio in any video was presented.
No, we can hear it, but barely.
Okay.
Try it again. Try
Okay.
and see if you can turn it up a little bit. I'll tell you if it gets any better.
The shot is compiled from data from NASA's
It's good enough. People can hear it. It's just not very loud.
every 100 minutes, taking measurements
Okay.
of light.
Can you turn it up at all? There's no way.
Yes, that is all the volume that I have.
Okay, everyone,
There's a
quiet.
small problem with it because there's a very slight gap
You're good.
in
Go ahead.
between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
But
It is Photoshop.
Uh,
But it's has to be. It is.
it is because it's not presented with audio, and maybe you are picking the audio from the mic. Could be that.
That's possible, but it's still loud enough for people to hear.
Okay.
Unless
Okay.
I'm
I'm
wrong.
gonna put more.
Yeah,
I'm
everybody,
gonna
everybody in
put
the chat
more.
says they can hear it fine.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just the Earth in itself that they use Photoshop, but also all related with outer space. Of course, some things, and I think maybe even the spherical Earth, of course, they start with something real. You can do a time lapse, or you can open the aperture of a camera and point into the sky, and you're gonna see a galaxy, a real galaxy. We are not denying that. The thing is that we don't buy the story behind that galaxy in terms of the heliocentric model, but they need to use all the time techniques based on computer. Of course, it's not just the spherical Earth, and we are going with what we trying to tell you is that they are using your money and create these superheroes machines. It's like a Superman, but with in the space with the telescope, and they take your money, they take your soul, they take your spirit, and they just use modern techniques, and they also have like real system. For example, when you take a look with a Hubble telescope, they have the same type of mirror and technology in the Sophia plane. Robert Bassano has a really nice talk directly with the manager of the Hubble Space Telescope, and it's crazy hear from their horse mouth that he never see the actual telescope. Of course, he just received data and they process data and things like that. But what I'm trying to say is that they use real things, and then they combine with extra CGI in some cases, in other cases analog procediments, etc. This is, for example, a planet Earth that I create myself in 30 minutes in my home, using photos from different sources. One of the sources are the NASA, other was companies that produce grid mapping with planes, and then you just put together, you apply to a spherical object, and then you can have, even with the clouds moving, and you can do a lot of things. So again, even the ISS footage, it's produced just like film with planes, film with stratospheric balloons, and that it's all. Then you mapping, and then you just apply to a spherical Earth. In some cases, in others, it's just 2D compositing. But that is why sometimes you can see, and it's a little realistic, because the thing here is that if you start to compare, for example, this is a stratospheric balloon 34 kilometers up. Of course, you are not going to find any curve, but look how live it's the video. clouds forming and spreading and change in shape. And this is just 2 hours time lapse, and this is 6-hour time lapse. And here you can see how the same cloud that is just at this side of the screen is the same when it reach that part of the window. Never change in shape, never change, never morph itself. So that are little things that you need to take into account to say, well, this it's produced. This is not real. This is something that you can do in a computer in our days. Of course, we never see the stars. We never see real feed of big events. For example, I don't know, when the Amazon's wildfires occur, you have a really big area of smoke. They never present that in the same moment. They maybe 1 week later, here we have satellite image of the wildfires in the Amazon in Brazil. And in fact, when you go back in time, here you can see that the space evolved with at the same time of the visual techniques. For example, in the 70s was more cartoonish. In the 80s, they start using analog composition, and they use, multiple techniques of painting balls and photograph and miniatures, like in the same way that you can do for movies. And then in the 90s, they start using videos taken from the stratospheric balloons. And then suddenly, nobody see ever until 2015 the aurora borealis or the stars of that type of thing. This is complete crap, but suddenly, boom, we have this because the technology in terms of the visual effects reach a point that you can produce that. And a lot of people don't buy it anymore. In fact, this is from RT site, and a lot of people start, putting names of NASA and start making comments that allow you to understand that the people are waking up to this type of things. I'm going to be a little more fast because we have not much time. But remember that, for example, in terms of that 1972 picture, we have a device. This is the US patent, and the device is to produce illusory effects. This is the actual model that was presented in 10th of October of 1905. 1905. This is the official patent. HS Maxim, he was military, and he presented this, like I mentioned before, device for producing illusionary effects. So before the first B-2 rocket takes some photograph of the Earth, before the NASA went to the moon, if you take a look of the distribution of the continents are quite good. Of course, they present the first globe in the times of Columbus, but when you start take this into consideration, then you have the idea that this was produced painting a ball with a black background, and then they take the photo. They never going to present a video, because in a video you need to move the cloud, things like that. So the only video that you're gonna see are those shaky videos supposedly filming from the window of the mooncraft, and they are really crappy if you want to see in that way. You're never gonna see changing features in those videos. But this is just a painting. He's Mike Boylan painting not a sphere. He's painting just a regular flat plane with this technique, and you can have the same thing. This is a low quality video, but remember that this is from Mercury missions in the 60s. The guys in NASA use a spherical Earth, painted a spherical Earth, rotating on its base by electronics. And the only difference between this and the blue marble is that they paint the clouds on top. So that is why they don't need a CGI in the 60s and 70s, because they use real objects and they paint it and they photograph real things. They create miniature. Of course, here you have like a universal type of miniature, which it's just something to produce a nice picture. But here you have a more realistic one to produce a brainwash. You can argue this is just for, training. Yeah, of course. But how it's possible that the same spherical object that you have for training is the same that you present to the public as a real thing? So again, if you just take a close look, you can see that this is not where is the glow of the atmosphere, where is the stars, etc., etc., etc. Right? So that is why you've been brainwashed. Technically, the globe image is the most advertising image all over the place. You cannot break the spell. You must be all the time under the spell of the heliocentric doctrine, because it's a religion, and you don't need to have the time to question things. That is the idea behind all these logos. This is not just an image. This is not just a logo. This is a symbol, and symbol has a lot more power in our subconsciousness. Okay, and you can buy. I work with this type of things. You can buy photorealistic Earth right now in TurboSquid for only $200 and produce whatever animation you want. This is, if you take a close look between the Tesla car moment and the TurboSquid spherical Earth, is almost the same. I just presenting this because, again, the idea is to break that spell. And when I mentioned the idea of the technique using planes to make a grid and take photos and sell those photos, the complete service of the supposedly satellite images, this is the real thing that they use. They use this type of camera. In this case, the company is called ZELLE. It's a world-class support company. They have planes with cameras all around the world. They work every day, 24 hours. In this case, they use the Microsoft Ultracam cameras that has 8 lenses, and they produce these strips. Oh, the same strips as a satellite, supposedly. They produce the strips, they download the info, they create all the same data that supposedly came from satellites. So you have the same system, like a mirror system, which this is a brainwash, and this is actual application for real life, for real work, for real projects, for real work. So all the things that you think came from space, they are all produced here on Earth with a lot of different techniques. It's not just one plane or just one drone or just one stratospheric balloon or ionospheric bounce in terms of the communication, or stratospheric or tropospheric bounce in terms of telecommunication. No, it's a bunch of systems. It's not just one, and that is why it's so expensive. And when you see just a tiny dot up in the atmosphere at night, and you believe that that is a satellite, that is balloon. That is balloon. Remember that NASA use a lot of helium, but also they use super pressure balloon. This is the standard balloons that you can use for atmospheric and climate studies. They're going to explode at 35 kilometers approximately, but you have super pressure balloons that keep in the straight line for months, even for years, and you can drive it, you can move it at will. It has fans that you can manage from the ground. I have a lot of videos of that. Aerostart is the best company doing that, and Aerostart worked with NASA since 60s. So when the balloons start going away, you are not going to see the equipment. This equipment is a giant equipment, but at 30 kilometers, you're just going to see the glowing globe, the white globe, and that is all about that tiny point of light in the night sky. Of course, in terms of visual effects and storytelling, they always use Hollywood and to present the outer space, because nobody can go there, and because it's not how they present in terms of education system. I mean, the space is not actual real rocks floating in the time space, bending the time space of the Einsteinian gravity model and nothing like that. So they recreate on the stage. This is Russian university in our days, showing how they use the frontal projection. And you can detect the frontal projection because you can see in the official pictures that this mountain here is super wash in terms of the contrast and the brightness. This is a real scenario. And in this line, the rest is a frontal projection. And that is why you don't have atmosphere, you don't have fog in the moon. That must be all really contrast and in terms of the brightness. This type of images, it is because they use frontal projection, matte painting. These are things that exist. Hollywood uses from the 20s, 1920s, matte painting and things like that. So everything, it's like a super giant TV set in a lot of techniques. In our days, the frontal projection is the same techniques, and they use for space movie, especially for space movies. They produce the same thing. You have just a regular screen. You produce the footage using miniatures, using reels with camera moving around a real object, and then you just project and put the spacecraft in the front and simulate the movement of unit. So NASA has that, that type of setup. They have miniatures, they have mechanical objects. For example, here you have the black background with a mechanical moon lander, and then you have this for training, and that's fine because it's for training. But then when you compare with actual mission, you have the same mechanical movement, the same type of rotation where it's very mechanical. It's just like a, and everything is black because it was the only technique that they can use. They cannot produce a star, of course. Those mechanical movement, that this is completely in studio. These are just miniature. These are just projection in the background. Nothing special. You don't need CGI to fake the moon landing. You need just cameras, a miniature, a lot of money, and be a really bad person to do something like that to humanity. Here you can see Taboo, Ben from Taboo Conspiracy, detect this video where the antenna is breaking in the middle of the of the moon mission. It's completely insane. Nobody can believe that we went to the moon with this technology, really. I have a lot of things about the moon landing, but let me just skip very forward because I have a lot of things to cover. I am not going to have the time to do it. Remember that Werner von Braun was a Disney artist, as the actual artist that worked for NASA, for Disney. But in this time, they need to brainwash about space. In our time, they need to brainwash about the gender agenda and other, they have other agendas, but they use the same the same mechanism. Is the television, is a brainwash tool number one. In our days, all we see in terms of satellites deploying like SpaceX things, it's the same thing. It's a black background with one single spotlight and robotic arms that reproduce this is the supposedly DART mission in terms of simulation. But then what they do is just they put the asteroid in the robotic arm. They put the back of the spacecraft in the robotic arm. Here you're gonna see it. Here you have it. And they just move in a straight path on the rail. That is what you see from SpaceX or NASA. And they just present you as a real or real-time footage, but that's not the case. It's all pre-made. And they use this, again, as a training. But then when you compare with reality, you're going to have all the same thing that you need to present to the public and keep, the story rolling. and keep the money coming. That is the most important thing. Here we have an example from Germany company, the space agency of Germany, that they produce, even they simulate the low rate bit rate feedback. Here you see the camera like it's a little laggy and steppy, like if this was like 3 million kilometers away receiving the images, and this is a setup. And so they use the same techniques as always, but they get better, and they use new equipment and new technology, but the idea behind is the same thing. Again, this is not a lunar surface. This is a symbol to keep you asleep, to control you. That is an important message that I want to deliver to you in this presentation. Again, this is more images from NASA using this type of technique. And for me, I know I present all this, but the only need you need to see to understand that nobody went to the moon is this type of videos, because nobody can believe that this guy need to take, you know, so much power and energy and jump just for pick up the tool and be keep in his needs. Now, this is, you cannot defend this. If you are the educated people, the educated person, you cannot defend these type of things. Why they cannot just be in his needs and pick up the tool very easy? That is because it's pulling the strings with a balloon on top. That is the technique that they use. That is why they have all these stupid movements and reaction and things like that. In fact, here you can see the setup. Here you can see, and remember, they use slow motion since 40s. So they can produce all the techniques to make you believe that they are in space. It's just easy as that. There is nothing special. They don't need CGI. They don't need supercomputers. They used to have layering techniques as we had today. Even Walt Disney invented the layering machines to put different images together in an analog way, but they don't even use that. This is just real scenarios, a lot of strings, and the rest is just slowing down the images, the video. This is the type of technique that they use to walk in big places. And of course, even in our days, David Copperfield, he patented a technique to levitate based on only 2 wires of 1 millimeter each one, and they can hold 100 kilograms in each little cable. And this guy is doing on real time, in your face, inside of theater at 2 meters. And NASA is making on television. You cannot go there to check it, but you can see the strange movement, the when the cables, for example, fail and things like that. So I have a very, very big compilation of these techniques, because I am a visual effects artist and I love to research this. I can spend all day showing the Argos system. I know that I don't have much time. I think I have 4 minutes. Could be, Jeran, or I only have 2 minutes?
Go ahead. You can go a couple more minutes.
Okay. So Argos. Coincidentally, Argos is the son of the god Zeus. I don't know how to pronounce very well. Zeus. But it's also stand for, well, you're going to see the Argos system from NASA directly from this guy. It's a way to control, supposedly, your weight based on motors in the top that you can produce the 6 axis movement, up and down, left and right, and forward and backwards based on your weight. And everything is super calibrated to produce the control gravity. But when you start checking, for example, these guys outside of the spacecraft in the 60s, you can see that they cannot never, for example, take the legs together, because the legs is in this type of setups. So you cannot put the legs together. You need to keep everything as a puppet. You have a very, very small range of movement. So the key here is to compare things. You need to compare things. You can do a lot of things in terms of the free flight, free falling type of flight, like a vomit flight, things like that. You can do a lot of things, and when you start to compare, everything match with a lot of equipment that we can use here on Earth. So nothing is tell you that they are in space, because you can reproduce all the things here in studios with different techniques. So again, this is just a compilation, and here you can see on movies, for example, for producing illusion effects for space movies. So again, they are NASA. Okay, $64 million per day. You can do much better things than this, but here you can have another setup. For example, here is a draw to illustrate what type of setup you have. The difference is when live is a complete different problem than when they produce footage. What I'm trying to say is that when you see long videos in one shot, that is not real time. That is not real feed. That is just like a special video to present. Let's take a tour inside the ISS. But when they are live, that is the problem. And I'm going just to show, for me, the most important one, which is, everything is a little strange, and it's going to get worse when they invite the fifth astronaut to the to participate into the
there's box. Greg Johnson comes
Q&A.
in. The pilot never gets enough respect. I'm glad
they have all the t-shirts, all the clothes
pilot
moving strange.
Never gets enough respect. I'm glad you did.
Have a movement like something is inside. And let me just skip forward to the most bad part, which is here. And for me, this is key in terms of, something is activating or deactivating. I'm trying to calibrate at least this type of mechanism that we saw earlier with the Argos system. And if you take a look here, you're gonna have that the host asks for a somersault.
This is one of my favorites from Innocent Nightmares, Garland, Texas. Do you ever actually say, Houston, we have a problem?
Well, they're going to say in a few minutes. But here's when the guy asks for a somersault to finish, the interview.
All right, that's about all the time we have. I got to implore upon you, group somersault. Can you do one for me?
Group somersault. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. I think.
And I like to analyze this as a choreography because, first of all, when the host asks for a somersault, immediately this guy in the back is going to try to escape away. Okay, we need to make some room here.
Yeah, no problem.
So he.
I think we can do that, right? Right.
He moves with the arm inside, not because he's just a Freemason, but also because they have this cable around, so you need to put the arm inside to don't be all a mess with all the cables surrounding it. And he's going to move up, disappear from the camera, and then the other guys is going to start making all these, I don't know how to say in English, But the problem
That's
here is that
certainly not as
they start to, you know, mess one of each other. They're going to start, you know, all the wires start
graceful as it
getting
could have
crazy.
been. That's why we usually
Look at those guys here. The first one that supposedly
hesitate to
go up
do those.
is going to start coming into the camera, still with the arm inside
But
Well,
it's
of the body.
certainly fun to do.
I gotta say,
And here is where they are going to try to release, you know, trying to unwire and spin. I don't know how to say in English.
at least you're
You know,
having some fun up there.
they're going to try,
You're not going to the Olympics with that.
start turning, because they maybe has a lot of
Keep the
all the wires,
day jobs,
you know.
guys, or night jobs on this
I think it's 2 times or 3 turns, completed turns. Let me just here.
Olympics.
1,
With that, keep the day jobs,
2,
guys, or night jobs on this mission.
3.
It,
His friend stopped them, and he pulls the arm into the front, like make some accommodation inside. I don't know. He starts stretching the t-shirt, and the problem is that Mark Kelly is stuck, and he cannot turn. So for me, here comes the most important part, because the red t-shirt
with
guy,
that, keep the day jobs, guys, or night jobs
he's looking the problem of Mark Kelly.
on this mission.
So he's going to give a sign behind the camera, and he's going to move the hand, saying I see the problem here. And now immediately he's going to press a button right here on the wall. And because Mark Kelly has the microphone open, you are going to hear the sound of the motor that it's up, of course, in the ceiling. You cannot see with the camera. And here is where, for me at least, comes these impossibilities, because how many chance is going to be like when someone press the button, you hear some mechanical motors moving, and then you're gonna have like a mechanical movement of the sweater. And here you can take a look, the hand. Now he's going to press and look this part of the cloth. There you have it, you know. And again, and again, and not just that, but also if you take a look before here, let me just move it like that. Look how the wire removal in terms of the digital technique is failing. Can you see? Remember, guys, this is a live stream in an official channel. The same thing happened, and you can see here. This is not something that I'm edit myself or things like that. This is what actually happened. The problem is here the sound of the live stream is a little low, so you need to increase the sound volume to hear the mechanism of the motors. But this is official. I mean, I downloaded from here. This is not, you know, something that I invented. I don't know if you can hear right now. You have all the choreography. The guy is going to, oh, you can hear, yeah, and you can see the movement in the cloth. But when you start analyze, remember that, for example, to remove the wires, in some cases, one of the techniques is that you have cables, right? Like you see here, you have cables, and you use a wire remover. That it's the name in terms of the technique. So when you just draw a path and you're trying to take information into the surrounding pixels and trying to clone on that thin line of the wire removal plugin, and then you're gonna have, you know, like all the time the software is evaluating the surrounding pixels and trying to just copy, you know, from all around and trying to clone on top. And there you have how they, you know, if you want to erase the cable. The problem is that when you do that in real time, you don't have the possibility to correct the errors that maybe it's taking place because the algorithm is not working pretty fast, or the image is or the video is a little complicated to resolve. So when you're doing that, for example, in real time, you can have some you know, strange shadows that still are there, or some like, I don't know how to name in English, but it's you know, like okay, the software is calculating, but it not has the enough information because maybe the angle change, or the perspectives change, or some shadow is, you know, making weird things. So you're gonna have this strange patch on the image that produce these weird things. When you take this into consideration, you're gonna have this blur patch on top of the video. You're gonna have strange things, and that it's the bottom line. And here you can see around the Denmark flag, you can see that how the patch is not working correctly. So you're gonna have, you know, and then not just that, but also when the guy press the button, everything goes crazy, and you're gonna have like a mechanical, it's a mechanical movement in the cloth, and you cannot.
Yeah, Miles, and I'll send you one of these breaks.
you're never gonna have cloth moving like that. It doesn't matter if it's 0G, ISS, or whatever. You're gonna have like three type of movement of the cloth, you know, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and again, you can hear the sound. You can hear the sound because if you remember, the most probable thing is that they are leading with let me go back here, with this type of movement. You have the cable rolling up, and then you're gonna have all these mechanical parts, you know, moving and producing that sound. That's the thing behind it. So here you have at least for me, you have a direct evidence that they are using wires. And of course, this is 12 years ago. This live stream is 12 years ago. If you just translate that to our days, I think they're going to get a little better in terms of the visual effects that they use. And of course, if you are just hello Cami, thank you for being here. Let me just add as a moderator. And if you just translate this old technology to our days, of course they're going to get better, and they're going to use more, you know, better techniques. And of course, the day that everything happen in real time, and we're gonna have virtual reality, and you are gonna have the Google Lens and the new virtual reality for Apple just insert in your brain, we're gonna to lose the battle. But at least we have these videos in the archive, and we can use it as at least to expose the fraud behind NASA. So again, one more time, let me just play it one more time to leave clear
jobs on this mission.
Let me just come back here, and here you have it. That is the cable, man. That is the cable.
Yeah, Miles, and I'll send you.
Okay, I'm going to release Mark Kelly.
Yeah, Miles, and I'll send you one of these bracelets.
I would like one. Thank you to all of you very much. Appreciate your time. I know you got a busy mission
And of course, the guy is still unreleased. He's still backwards and
ahead. You
he cannot turn.
got the spacewalk ahead.
They are looking each
And
other.
thanks to all of you for your time and
Look at the leg. The guy is completely
to
It's a
be a
joke.
part of this
digital aircraft.
and for watching us and sending us such
He's still trying to pull himself in the correct orientation, and he cannot do it.
terrific questions. You can see portions of
He's still stuck.
this interview on the PBS NewsHour and the entire interview.
Look at the faces, and you can see the illumination is not correct. It's like a complete or green screen or augmented reality
Interview on the NewsHour's
or
YouTube
something
channel.
like that. And in fact, you can see here, I think it's around here at the beginning, when this guy is moving the arm to the side. Let me just, here, I think it's around here. They're gonna have like
Weighed in with
let me see if it's here. I think it's here.
Orc, the
He's going to move, and here you can see a lot of strange. This is typically on green screen when you have these spill problems with tiny object like hairs. It's not picking the correct look here. This part in the arm here, you can see something is trying to avoid. Here you can see this strange movement where my mouse arrow is right now. That type of digital aircraft, this is not for compression, this is not problem for because the compression of the video. No, this is something else. This is related with some green screen or look at how the complete arm is shaking. Look, this patch here, they are all the time taking the hand and looking something out of the screen, out of the camera perspective. But here you can see, I hope you can see on the YouTube transmission, but you have here a lot of weirdness, digital thing happen. It's all over the place. I mean, this is not a real image. Here again you have this, this is a compression problem. Yes, could be, of course, but just in the arm. And here it's this transparency. It's typically this happened with low quality green screen techniques, unfortunately for NASA. But all this live stream is completely a mess. I think it was the worst live stream ever for the astronauts. And of course, once you see that, you can start looking other videos and start at least comprehends why they are all the time. For example, when people start or the astronaut start being stuck in the air, they always push a button or take a lever or things like that, or pull a lever. So for example, right now the guy is stuck in the air and he's going to move it. He's going to move the lever and gently start going down, and the face is very strange. He's not comfortable what he's doing. So he pushed the lever, he pulled the lever, he's moved. And again, remember that the Argos system is just a switch. It's one switch, tuck tuck, on off. You can use it as an on off, or at least you can use it to calibrate. Here again, the guy is trying to go down, but before going down, he's going to being pulled up, that doesn't have any sense. And he's moving something here, and then of course the catastrophe happened because there is not enough cable, and you're gonna have this, the t-shirt is going to be pulled up there, and not just the t-shirt, but I think if you paying attention you can see also something is start, a little things are again have that digital aircraft based on the wire removal technique. It's a little subtle this time, but you have it there. And of course you also have the face after the performance that something is not quite right in his attitude. Again, he's touching something here as always. And then, for example, the his friend here in the middle, he's trying to make another turn, and he again is trying to release some cable, and then boom, maybe it was not enough to have the complete turn. But all the time they are pushing, they are manipulating something here. You can clearly see he's looking, he's paying attention, he's focused on something, some type of switch here. And again, here are the classic ones where you can see that they are trying to just make a simple turn, and the guy is going to be stuck. They put the arms inside like the other that we analyzed before. And all this movement, of course they are on wire. They are on wires, without any doubt. They are using this type of multiples technologies between wire removals, the actual wires. That's a Hollywood movie. Here you have a compilation of at least people criticizes the
There were quite a number of articles and people who theorized. So as far as some people believe that you're not really in space; you're just tranquilly in some sort of a hidden space on Earth. How do we prove to people that you are 500 kilometers above me?
So you need to prove people, because
and
the best thing that they can do is this.
Okay. Well, it's hard to fight against that sort of.
And the nice thing is the orientation in the neck.
Conspiracy theory. But what you're controlling, you can see, for example, how is it that I can do? We cannot do this in a hangar on Earth, for example.
No,
there's no anti-gravity machinery on
No.
Earth.
No.
It's such a unique, amazing experience. I think the fact that I took so many pictures up here is going to help me believe that I actually did it.
You look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
And here is another Easter egg to analyze, because when the guy is asking, hey, this is a fraud, you are in studio, Nebraska, whatever. First of all, the woman is going to just put the finger to the hair, like oh man, of course I am in the ISS, look at my hair, this is 0G hair movement.
Are you really in space still?
Are you really in space? And that guy is going to start to move things in his lower back part. And he's trying to, he's moved the hand as the other guy with the red t-shirt. He's going to give a sign, and look at that. Again, this is typically of emotion blur error when you are in the green screen. But we leave it there. The guy is going to move the hand, shake the hand to give some, sign for the people behind the camera. And he's going to try to search something in his lower back part.
I don't know.
He start like moving, like I can find it, I can find the switch or whatever, because all this is choreographed. He start looking something at the same time that this guy with this clown face is going to perform a turn. So again, it's the same equipment, it's the same technique.
We're gonna have to do something.
He's going to, I need to do something to prove that we are in space. Of course, the best thing you can do is just turn. But this guy here is he's trying to control the turn of this astronaut. So again, take a look how he's trying to find the correct, pieces, switches, levers, whatever.
Something for you.
Yeah. And he's moved, and now he are looking out of the camera. He's looking something, and he's going to push something out of the ceiling. Look, and hear the sound too. But look at not just the mechanical sound, but look the arm. He's moving the arm in this manner, which it doesn't have any sense at all. I mean, why you need to make like this? You are not dancing in space. And he's going to push something because again, this guy has some time of trouble with the wires. So again, take a look at the whole complete choreography. He's going to make look at the face, man. I mean, this is the cream of the humanity to save us. He's looking something.
I don't know. We're gonna have to do something for you.
He touched something there. He put the arm. And look at the woman. The woman is pointing again with her finger. Something is wrong. It's the same thing as the other guy in the Mark Kelly scenario. He's pointing something is wrong, but yeah, I saw it. So this guy is going to go up and trying to fix some problem with the cable, and that is why this guy, it's like push, it's like pull up without any explanation. He's just trying to make a turn, and he's going
for you.
Everything is correct, and now he's going to pull.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Watch this.
Okay, yeah. And it's not just this this part that everyone knows that he's taking something in the air. But for me, the most important thing is all the movement that is behind these two front astronauts, because again, it's the same thing. I mean, the woman is pointing with her finger, something is wrong. This guy is trying to switch off or switch on or whatever. He makes the movement of some cable, and now he's going to pick. He touched some button, and now he's pulled back again to the floor with this strange movement. And okay.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Watch this.
This woman touched also something, maybe for her own Argos system. Okay. And everything's fine again. It's crazy. It's crazy how people believe in these clowns.
Yeah, right there.
It's very exciting. Can you just reassure us, that you really are in the space station? You're not suspended by hidden wires in a closet someplace. Maybe your hair alone kind of gives it away.
Hiding wires. It's amazing, man. I mean, let me just play again this part.
It's very exciting. Can you just reassure us, that you really are in the space station? You're not suspended by hidden wires in a closet someplace. Maybe your hair alone kind of gives it away.
Thank you very much, Mark, for your looping. It is very helpful because my grandchildren, they always say they are not really in space. It's all organized in NASA Hollywood.
Group somersault. Can you do one for me?
Do it. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, no problem. I think we can do that, right?
That's certainly not as graceful as it could have been. That's why we usually hesitate to do those, but it's certainly fun to do.
I gotta say, at least you're having some fun up there. You're not going to the Olympics with that. Keep the day jobs, guys, or night jobs on this mission.
Again, you know, the guy saying, I take care of that. He pressed the reset button and you have all this combination, which is insane. And it's insane. People believe this. And this is still live.
I'll send you one of these bracelets.
I would like one.
Yeah. Don't send me nothing. Thank you for the tip in Rockfin. Thank you, Time Mutsans, for the sorry for my pronunciation, for the tip. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here, because it's crazy. For example, this is another one that I pick.
Station Houston.
You know, look at the screens here. If you take a look into these screens, the astronaut, it's coming to the front, rise up the hand and push a button for, you know, calibrate the Argos. And the system is going to pull his back. And when they switch to live feed, you're going to still notice that strange movement. Let's take a look.
Are you ready for the event?
There you have it. Can you see it? Yeah. Boom. When you combine that strange movement,
Houston, ready for the event.
If you combine that with, first of all, again, you have some part of the head that are completely erased and transparency. With transparency, that is the typical green screen error. There you have it. And again, you have some part of the neck which are disappearing. But if you combine this previous part before going live, he pushed the button, and now he's, you know, being pulled by the Argos system. And again, and I don't know what that green screen here is. I cannot say, because it's, unfortunately, we don't have the resolution enough to declare what that it is. But again, and the guys, I think these are 20 minutes of annoying interview. Just time to time, the guy must be coming into the front and press some button there, you know. He's make some turns, and again, the hand rise and press a button, going back, press a button. Crazy. Completely unnecessary. At least you are using some type of Argos system. And for me, I don't have any doubt about it. And, you know, here you can see an astronaut doing the same thing that you can do here on Earth using Hollywood techniques. And they are performing the same thing. And of course, Argos is also a deity related with, you know, God, Greek's God and things like that. This is Chris Hadfield, one of the worst astronaut ever, coming from Canada. And again, you have, you know, some movements.
Bon and Viv Spike Seltzer had zero.
You know, everything is a Hollywood technique, no doubt about it. And let me just finish with this. Here is Team Peak performing live, again, with people in the audience, you know, asking questions in supposedly live stream from the ISS, you know. The guy is here, blah, 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 blah. And he's going to perform a looping. Let me just skip forward until that moment. Here. And again, when he's going to perform the looping, you're going to hear the mechanical sound again, and in tandem with the strange movement of, you know, like the cable is just release something and he's falling down.
I definitely haven't mastered it. I'll give you a trial and I'll show you just how bad it is.
Take a look at the sound. Now. Tack. And the hips go down. Back. And he straight up as nothing happened here.
That was great.
And supposedly he is floating in the...
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Give me another week.
And people applause. That is the most worst thing ever. People applause that. $150 billion supposedly is the cost of the ISS for have 6 clowns each 3 months or 6 months making loops in space. Okay, well, there you have it. I think this is enough for today. I am not I still need practice, not for looping but for my English. Here you have some side-by-side comparison between a free fall plane and the supposedly ISS with all this strange movement and the astronaut trying to calibrate themselves. Nothing that it's happening in the ISS, it's something that you cannot do in here on Earth with a combination of few technologies and techniques. We don't have much time because it's going to reach a point where the virtual reality and the real-time visual effects techniques is going to at least cover these creepy old techniques that they use in the early days of the ISS. But they are still making errors. They are still having problems with the so-called live streams. So at least I'm still trying to make my own archives of all these nonsense movement and strange things that happen in the ISS. I hope you understand my explanation. I hope you understand my English, and see you next time.